So welcome everybody to the 25th Book Academy meeting, the first one of 2024. Happy New Year to everybody. And I can see we've just had a little chat before we start recording about everyone's Christmases, and everyone give us a great big thumbs up that you had a great Christmas. Perfect. Okay. All right, so we've done that.
Okay, Candice, you got to share now. You didn't put
Yeah.
your thumbs up.
Yeah, you didn't put your thumbs up for that.
All right.
I did too.
I know
One
you
guy,
had
one
your family over for Christmas. I already heard. Sorry for you.
And he saved Christmas.
We saved
I got
Christmas.
distracted. I was reading your review, Jerry.
Yeah.
So I was reading that.
2 years running, she's saved Christmas now. So right. So before we get into the book of the month, which is How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie, and hopefully no one did anything like that over the Christmas period, although sometimes I'm sure people wanted to. Maybe Heather's looking a bit pensive there. She's like, oh, didn't I? I have got a pondering point for this month. I've asked a few people if they wanted to do it, and they were either not able to make this month or felt a bit like, oh, I can't think of one at such short notice. So I thought I'll just do it this month, and I'll ask those other people next month if they've got an idea of something. So pondering point this month is, when you are reading a book or go to read a book, what fonts or size of fonts or something make you go, oh, no, can't read it? Or, oh, yes, that looks beautiful font. I want to read the book. Is there a font that turns you on the book or turns you off the book? That's the sort of thing I want to know. Chris.
It's funny you should mention that. I went to the opticians this afternoon, and for the reading, they give you this board with the fonts on it, and I commented to the optician that the very, very smallest font, the actual words say that it's a font that's often used for technical data. And I said to the optician, who in their right mind would put technical data in a font so small that you can almost not read it?
Well, I'm not. I've got an optician's appointment tomorrow, so maybe I'll have to study the optician's text. Yeah.
Your optician, they probably don't share it all. Yeah. Optician's joke of the day.
I've got to keep something amusing about their job, surely.
So have a little think about that while I just get the next thing up, the beginning part of the book intro. Have a quick chat amongst yourselves, book fonts, etc.
Well, for me, small fonts are a definite turn off, and that's why for Prometheus, yeah, him. I actually, yeah, that one. Thank you.
Are you still working through it?
No, I was relieved because I was 25% through, but nearly half of it is all the references, which, given it took 25 years to research and write, I can understand. So I was nearer to the end than I thought, actually. But no, if it's too small, then I either get it on Kindle or just don't bother. I really don't see the point in straining my eyes and giving myself a headache.
Well, that's a really good point as well. On the Kindle, you can change the size of the font to suit you, which is something that we've worked on last year on our reflowable books, so that we can have that adaptability. It's one great thing that you can do with audios, Kindles, that I wish you could do sometimes with a real book. So
Is it the same in Audible when you can speed up the voice? Would that be a comparative to font size?
yeah, I guess so. If someone speaks in a really slow voice, you're like, oh, let's get on with the story.
Yeah, you can speed them up. It's quite interesting.
I dislike Times New Roman. The first 30 odd years of my military career, everything was in Times New Roman, and then it's just in 10 point because they didn't want to waste paper, and then it's just gone now. So everything done is Arial now. It's much clearer, and I'm happy.
I like a more sans serif font, and I've kind of got into Skier at the moment. It's got sharp angles on the edges, and it's just jazzy. But you can't use it for everything. So
For our uni assignments, we're actually dictated that it must be 12 points, Arial, and double spaced.
spaced.
Yeah.
But I don't like books at that.
No. Different types of reading requires different fonts, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
And emails should be in 14 point, whatever the font, because it's just so much easier to read for everybody, not just people with poor eyesight. If you're sending emails on point 10, not helpful.
But for me, you can
think
can expand it. So my settings are automatically to how I like it, because I actually like it smaller, because then I can see more. I don't like big emails because I'm like, oh, I can't read all that. So I like to actually be able to see it. I know it's an illusion, but I have it smaller. So I don't like 14 point. It drives me crazy.
I'm with you, Candy. I like it small.
and on the phone, I have it on the smallest setting as well. So, unless it's a picture, and then I drag it out and I look at the detail on the pictures. So
I find the larger the font, the more simple the book or the wording. So you have really large font for children's books.
absolutely, and children's books, you can mix and match the fonts. It doesn't have to be consistent all the way through. Although I'd still argue that you would still not use more than 3 font styles. So right. Fabulous. Keep thinking about that as we go, percolate. But I am going to do the introduction for How to Kill Your Family before we go into our book discussions. So some people, can everyone see the screen?
Yeah.
Some people found it a little bit tricky to work out who was who and why they were bothered by it. So I thought I'd just do a little bit of a family tree just to make sure people know who's who and how they died. So Grace Bernard is the main protagonist in the story, and she basically detests her biological father, which is Simon Armitage, and her mother is Marie. And everyone's probably knows the idea is that she just wants to kill all his family because she feels that he is a worthless piece of human excrement, and just wants to eliminate and cause him as much pain as possible before destroying him as well. So, but he was married to Janine, son of Jeremy and Kathleen Artemis. He has a brother called Lee, who is married to Lara. His only recognised child in the book is Bryony. He has a nephew called Andrew. And then there's Grace Bernard. And for those people who have managed to read to the end, there is somebody called Harry Hawthorne who appears at the end, who is also an illegitimate child with someone called Lottie. Now, Grace got quite successful through the list of people. Jeremy and Kathleen were forced off the road in Spain. Kathleen died on impact, and Jeremy was severely injured, but then died in the fire, which Grace started to ensure that he definitely died. Andrew drowned in a frog pond at Walthamstow Marshes, and the drowning was instigated by Grace and ensured that it happened. Lee suffered asphyxiation in a seedy Mile End nightclub, also orchestrated by Grace. Janine faints in a steam room, which has been locked when the heat has been cranked up. And as she faints, she bangs her head as she falls. And the death was attributed to heat, shock, and burns, all exacerbated by a mild heart defect. And it was Grace who, again, orchestrated the fact that she couldn't get out of the steam room. Bryony, not only was she having to gone through all this trauma of her mother dying, she was poisoned by a peach serum, so she had an allergic reaction, and Grace put the peach serum in her drink, although her death was reported as a suicide due to grief of the loss of her mother. And then Simon, the big bad guy of it all, disappeared at sea, as far as Grace knew to begin with, but was actually hit over the head buy a bottle of wine, then left to drown. And Harry was the person who orchestrated that. I haven't gone into all the other characters in the book, but because these are the family members, and hopefully for anyone who's not 100% sure who was who and what went on, that is a little brief overview for you. So I'm going to stop the share. Does anyone want to add any comments to that, add a discussion while I sort out the breakout rooms?
Just a question, really. Is there anybody who hasn't read it or hasn't finished it?
I haven't finished it. I've yeah, read a good chunk of it though.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
on the bit where the mother dies, as in the mother of whatever her name is. The steam
Janine?
room one. The steam room one.
Janine.
Yeah. But now I know what happens. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I think
I don't think
I
it's a
think Abby wrote.
that
Sorry?
Brian died at Grace's hand. It could have been she encountered deadly peaches from some other source.
Yeah, there's probably some
So-
controversy in there as well. It might have accidentally happened, but yeah. My interpretation was that she orchestrated it to happen. So Sue, did you have a question as well?
It wasn't a question, it was just an observation, really. While you're doing the breakout rooms, do Kaz and Candice not want spoiler alerts?
I don't mind.
I
don't.
think we've already had them. It's fine.
Okay.
It's too late for that now.
Oh, well, I haven't given you the main
Well,
twist.
no, actually, I don't think it is.
I
'cause some
didn't.
of the
I was
comments
very
I've got-
careful not to
Alright,
do that. So, okay,
Mm.
I've got you all sorted out. So I will open the rooms. I'm going to ask everyone to. Well, you won't have much choice because I'll close the breakout rooms. But we're going to be chatting until about 7:35. So about 20 minutes. So see you on the other side. Right, so yeah, welcome back everybody, and I hope you all had a great discussion. I know we did in our group. Some interesting comments all round. So I am going to go straight into Heather's group. Who was in your group, Heather?
It was Chris and Lady, and Chris was nominated to feedback.
Go for it, Chris.
Right, trying to remember everything that we talked about. I mean, the book, I think it's worth just considering the genre of the book. I mean, and I read it as I would read an Agatha Christie. I wasn't too bothered about character development and things like that. I was just sort of following the plot. But the difference between that book and most of detective fiction is that it's told from the point of view of the murderer as opposed to the point of view of the detective, which is I'm sure other novels have done that, but it's a difference. And I think overall, following the machinations and how she did it was quite entertaining. Oh, but wasn't Harry boring? And I think Harry needed editing to get the impact of the very last paragraph, which I won't say any more about that for the one or two people who haven't read it to the end, because that last paragraph I think loses it should have a really hefty punch, but it loses it because it's there's so much Harry which we don't really need. And I think we had a long conversation about swearing and when it's acceptable and when it isn't. And just because I didn't really notice it, but Lady and Heather did, and the feeling was that it wasn't really necessary or handled very well, and we could all conceive of novels or biographies where the swearing would actually be important in terms of character development and so on. But perhaps it wasn't quite so crucial in this novel. Is there anything I've missed?
Well, I think the moral of the whole book is don't write anything down if you don't want anyone to find out. And then I was saying also, for me, I felt that the author sort of impaled her opinion or her thoughts onto the character rather than the characters developing the thoughts themselves. So for me, some of it just didn't hit. And I'm thinking, this is the author's viewpoint, not Grace's, not, so that interfered. And I think once I get an idea like that in my head, I find it really difficult to carry on. So I did confess that I got up to, I think, chapter 8 or 9, and then said to Abby Rose, you better tell me what happens in the end because I'm not reading anymore.
I made you read the last chapter though, didn't I?
You did, yes.
I was kind of in agreement with the lady and said that the author seems to infantilize the characters and had very much tight control over them and didn't let them develop. So, and yeah, like we said, we both agreed that why kill Andrew?
Yeah. What did he do wrong apart from like frogs? I mean,
I also pointed out that in a court of law, if it was all to come out in the open, Harry wouldn't inherit, and she could, but she would be done for all the murders. Yeah, but she could inherit, whereas Harry couldn't inherit and would be done for the one murder.
Yeah, because he killed a person who'd be inheriting from. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. I was going to ask why that would be the case. But she'd have been banged up for life anyway, so the inheritance wouldn't have been any use to her. Apart from paying off her very expensive lawyer who got her off the murder that she didn't commit. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go on to your group then, Sue. Who is in your?
We didn't nominate. I was with Chris. Sorry, not Chris. With Candice and Dennis. So I was joining the AD family, and we interestingly we talked about the swearing as well, and we thought maybe there was a difference between listening to it on audio and reading it, because when you're reading you can bypass, but it's a bit more, I was going to say, in your face, in your ear, if there's constant swearing. So and we thought that perhaps that was a generational thing as well. So we covered all sorts of things. I tried very hard not to give the spoiler alert to Candice, and she now thinks she might want to read to the end, because I think it is a very clever twist at the end. Well, there's a double twist at the end, actually, for me. But we talked about morality and ethics and upbringing, and how one of the things that I felt very strongly was that I was reading it at the same time as I just watched the Bates versus Post Office, and felt that there were a lot of mirrors there in terms of people having a conscience and doing the right thing. So we talked about that. We talked about a lot of things, and I can't remember a lot of them. Candice and Dennis, do you want to add to what I've said?
I mean, I think we also talked about, obviously, that she has absolutely no morals or anything like that, and is very much a psychopath. And I think with that, the development and of characters, I don't think with what you said, I kind of saw that as her, from her own perspective. She doesn't think of anybody else's emotions or feelings, so wouldn't develop any other characters, because she's telling it all from her point of view, and her point of view is that everybody was, apart from Jimmy, was rubbish, as to where I've got up to anyway. So I just we went over that. We were talking about the differences of the lavish lifestyle, and why questioning as Gov was questioning as to why, whether she was the author was trying to get some 50 Shades of Grey in there, or whether it was linked into the fact that the lavish rich have a lot of can do whatever they want with their money, doesn't matter. And then did you mention about the feminist side about no, she was very negative about every single woman who was in there, no matter who it was. Even her mother, she said she loved her mother, but didn't respect her, didn't show any respect for any woman, even if they were doing well in their own lives. She was very downtrodden on them. Can't remember anything else, Gov. Can you?
Just the fact that I thought she had a massive chip on her shoulder.
You did, yes. Which, yes, she did. Because he felt sorry for her as a child, but as an adult, you just think, grow up, deal with it. You have to learn to live with it and move on.
Yeah, life is not fair.
Yeah, like Lady and I
However
talked about
unfair life is.
motive. There didn't seem to be motive, but apart from greed.
Yeah, which all the way through she didn't really say that she wanted anything, did she? So what? It's not greed, is it? It's just vengeance. But so
Yeah, revenge.
Chris made an interesting point though, right at the beginning of ours about the title. Chris, do you want to repeat that?
Well, it was a bit disappointing, really. It should be How I Killed My Family. And if you want to kill your family, this is not the book to go to, is it? I mean, there's not one practical murder in the whole thing.
I don't fancy my chances of persuading somebody to lend me their Hummer.
And has anybody ever met anyone who's allergic to peaches?
There must be someone
Who has a
somewhere.
lock on their sauna door?
Well, right, okay, I'll go over to Jerry then, because it was Kaz, Jerry, and I in a room together, and we touched on this a little bit as well. So over to you, Jerry.
Okay, so we'll go back to Charlotte, like she mentioned, a lock on a sauna. I mean, so much of this book was not credible, particularly with the murders. A lot of these murders are going over the peaches and some of this other stuff. It's like it was a distraction in how, I mean, it was like, come on, Agatha Christie, where are you when we need you? And so I think that was said, and I believe Abby said that the book wasn't enjoyable. And I think that's true. I don't think it wasn't. I don't think it was a fun or a good read. I think it was almost laborious. And so we talked about that. She did say, Abby did say that she was interested in the twists and turns, and that like everyone else, so there's no sympathy for Grace, and so when you don't have any empathy. It's like the point where you don't have any empathy for her, you don't have any hate for her, you just have disdain. And I think that's difficult in a book when you don't have a strong feeling for a main character. And so I think perhaps that's why it made it a little punishing to keep reading. We liked Laura. We thought it was great, but that she got spared. And that when she came out at the funeral, we thought that was pretty cool. But it seemed a little bit out of Grace's character to let anybody off, frankly. I mean, like like Andrew was gone. What did he like to do? He liked toads. Okay. So again, I think we found her pathetic, and she was somewhat of a toxic person. And then we did play on the Gen Z thing because, of course, I brought it up, and talked about how the author, like was mentioned earlier, basically was lampooning the generation. We did agree with that. And Harry was interesting, but not developed enough. It was like, like I think Chris was just saying, we needed more there. So another thing, I want to take exception to the swearing, because the people that I know that are Gen Z swear like it's just part of their day-to-day vocabulary. I think it's a characteristic. I mean, the F-bomb is not a cuss word to them. It could be an adjective, an adverb, whatever they want it to be. So I think that's a little bit different. So think it was, I don't know, Charlotte, was it you or Abby that said that she was so righteous, and I said uninformed. And but you know what is interesting? I haven't heard anything from anybody talking about the fiance that went oops over the railing.
I know. I didn't like her
We-
though.
No.
We did mention that slightly in passing, just that there was this sort of portrayal of her as being beautiful without any makeup on or anything. I can't remember quite because it was in passing, but we did mention her.
You know,
I didn't like her.
one of the things about as soon as she sat down on that balustrade, I knew she was going over. And there were so many things in this book were predictable, including what is that, Katie or whatever that Kelly? That was predictable. You knew she was not who she was portrayed to be, okay? And you know, you could just see stuff coming, and I found that like disappointing. But
Maybe that's I'm just having the thought now. Maybe that's again another thing about the Gen Z. Like we're not surprised by anything anymore.
right, we're disappointed more than anything.
Yeah,
Actually.
possibly. Like, yeah, something's happened. Oh yeah, well, I saw that in a movie. Oh yeah, I saw that. I heard that on the radio. So maybe that's the point. Again, another thing that she's done. I don't know whether it's deliberately done that. We know it's all happening because we've seen it all.
I put in the
Dinosaur
chat.
ate you on the whilst you sat on the toilet. Yep, seen it all before.
I put in the chat though that there's a great opportunity here for a sequel, because you've got Kelly and you've got Harry and you've got Grace, all with motives and all vulnerable.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what, I don't think I'm going to read a sequel if it comes out.
Might watch the movie.
No, I don't think.
I did see a meme on Facebook about or something where you can say who you think would play the people in books, and people chose people like Rosamund Pike and things in there as their characters who they think would play such and such, which I thought was quite interesting as well.
So which character would Rosamund Pike play?
A couple of people said that they should play the mother, Janine. So
Rosamund Pike was recently in a movie, and I can't remember what it was. What's a recent movie she was in?
I Care a Lot.
Wheel of something, time, or she's the executive producer of it and stars in it.
Look this up.
She's
And
that
she was really good.
Saltburn.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Salt. Is that what you said? Saltburn?
Saltburn, yeah.
Excellent in Saltburn. Excellent.
I've not seen that, but I've seen I Care a Lot, which was phenomenal.
Saltburn is going to remind you of oh God, what was it? That British flick that takes place at Howard Castle so old ago.
Yes. Brideshead Revisited.
Yes.
Don't watch it with your mother, Abby Rose.
Okay.
You've got a teddy bear in it.
You won't like it.
Let's put it this way: it's not on the straight and narrow. Okay.
You won't like it, Muff.
No,
No.
don't watch it, Mother. No.
Don't watch it.
No point.
I just remember the teddy bear in Brideshead Revisited. That was all.
Yeah, there is one in
Well,
Saltburn
there's
as
more
well.
than a teddy bear in this one, dear.
Yeah.
If you have a visitor's card, it'll spoil it for you.
I think it's Teddy is Bear.
Okay, enough said.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you like Rosamund Pike, I fully recommend I Care a Lot as a movie. It's based on things that actually do happen when people take over care of people's lives, and they obviously need care and things, and how they just take over all their finances and control their life. It's dark but very clever.
What is the name of the movie that has Brad Pitt in it?
Which one? There's lots of them.
He's in Venice. He lives in New York, goes to Venice to look after this guy's son. Oh, it was so good. I think it was Brad Pitt. Same routine as the last couple movies we've been talking about. But anyway, sorry.
While Jerry's thinking, can I just ask, has anybody seen One Life?
Not yet.
One Life.
With
Oh,
Anthony
that's the Anthony
Hopkins?
Hopkins one. No,
Yeah.
not yet. I want to though.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
I cried most of the way through.
And
It's
as a
based on the guy who helped lots of Jewish people, isn't it? So based that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And as an aside, I've put a recent study in the chat on peach allergies that are
Oh,
quite common in the Mediterranean.
Okay, fabulous.
Sorry about that. It is true.
But it still brought a lot of discussion, even though it's not a book that we particularly enjoy. Did anyone actually enjoy it? You've enjoyed it so far. All right.
Again, enjoy is not my word. I was
No.
intrigued and I wanted to carry on reading, and I read it very, very quickly. It's enjoyed is not the word, but it's something less than that, but more than didn't like. So
It was a book I wanted to finish, which is
yes,
what Abby Rose is saying.
yes,
Yeah.
I wanted to finish.
I
and
needed
it's
to
like
finish.
some films, I'll start a film and I say to John, I've got to finish it, and I'll stay up to finish it. And sometimes by the time you get to the end, you think, actually, that was a good film. It wasn't halfway through, but because I finished it. But this one, when I finished it, I went, no, actually wasn't worth staying up.
I'm the same, Kaz. I'm not enjoying it. Yeah.
I'm not enjoy it. Yeah.
I think I'm enjoying listening to it though, and I think for me, because swearing is so common in our generation, it's that you hear it, and a lot of people who I'm friends with swear a lot, and I can swear in different circumstances as well. I change how I'm talking. I don't swear around you.
I remember swearing once coming out of cinema. I dropped my popcorn in front of you, and Candice's face was like this. And Mark was like, "Did you hear what she said, Dennis? Did you hear what she said?" And it was just trying to wind me up, and it actually was the one time it didn't wind me up, because I was like, "Yeah, I said that."
That's when I hear my mother swear, is when it's like, really?
Oh yeah,
you
you should have seen her at the
All right, yeah, let's carry on.
at the Madness concert we went to.
Thank you.
Terrible.
But no,
The
I mean, for me,
talented
I'm
Mr.
enjoying
Ripley.
listening to it. So
The talented.
Mr. Ripley.
Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
That was
Okay,
very
it was
similar to Saltburn. Yeah.
It was Matt Damon in The Talented Mr. Ripley.
so not Brad Pitt.
Not Brad Pitt.
What about it?
So not
Not
Brad Pitt then.
Brad Pitt.
Not Brad Pitt. That's what I was saying. The problem. Talented Mr. Ripley. It's very similar, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
Jerry, I wanted to ask you, there's a lot going on at the moment about our post office. Has any of that filtered over to the USA about what's happened in the UK?
No, nothing. It's not even in the headlines at all.
Ah,
I mean, I had heard there was a problem with your post office, but I'm not familiar with it at all.
right.
I would like to know. I would like to know if anybody received a book via the mail for Christmas from me, because I did not know if it got there or not.
Is anybody? I think I know one person who hasn't received their book, and Heather, I think that's you who hasn't received the book. I've spoken to the person, and they have promised me that they have sent it now, and they are very, 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 very apologetic. So you'll have a New Year's book.
Santa is very apologetic. Ho ho ho.
What about the one Jerry sent?
I'll speak to you in a minute later, Jerry, and see if that person has received it, because I can't remember off the top of my head who's received what. But I'll have a quick look and I'll find out for you.
Okay.
If it was me, Jerry, I loved my book, but I don't know who sent it. So thank you. If it was me.
No, it wasn't you.
Oh, okay, stop
Okay.
telling people. Okay, we will come back to our Santa swap books a little bit later on, but I'm very conscious of the time, that we are nearly approaching the break, and I would like to do my Abby's antics before the break. And what I'm not going to share my screen today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be playing you some music which is crime themed. So what I would like you to do is to randomly shout out or put in the chat what the song is and the artist name if you can. There is no prizes, just the joy of knowing what the song is. That's all. So there are 10, and I'm only giving you 10-15 seconds clips of each of them. Some of them are really easy. There might be a couple of obscure ones. In fact, there's one obscure one that if I think you can get this, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked. But everything else, most people will know. So, shush. Right, here we go. Here's number one. Can you hear the sound?
No.
I shot the sheriff.
So Heather said I shot the sheriff. Well done. Bye.
Can't remember who did that one.
Anybody can shout out. I don't mind.
NBC, was it? No.
Was that Bob Marley?
Was Bob Marley and the Wailers, but I'll let you have that one.
I
Okay,
couldn't really
no,
hear
are
it
these
very well.
It's the title
Are
of
these
the
books
song
or
that-
just?
Sorry, Sue. It's the title of the song that's crime related. Is that right?
Yeah, the title of the song is crime related.
Okay, didn't get
I've
it.
turned my volume up, Kaz, so hopefully it will be a bit better for you this time. Okay, number 2.
Murder on Dance Floor.
Dance floor.
Murder on the Dance Floor. Kaz, could you hear that better that time?
No, it's really muffled.
It's really muffled, but I just know the song
Yeah.
very well. And I was
It's
like, can't find my mute, unmute. Ah.
coming over bubbly, so it's not going to come over well on the recording.
Well, I might record this separately as well. But it was Murder on the Dance Floor by...
Sophie Ellis Bextor.
Fabulous. Okay. Right, number 3.
Once that you've decided on the killing, first you make a stone of your
That's Sting.
It's Police.
And if you find that your hands are still willing,
Message in the box.
Murder by
you
numbers.
consider murder
Police.
into art.
Well done. Murder by Numbers by the Police.
That was clear.
My generation, that.
It was clear, I just didn't know it.
Now, anyone who does not get this one, I will be absolutely gobsmacked.
Is this the real life? Is this just
Got to be murder.
caught in a lie?
Rhapsody. It's all about
Bohemian
murder.
Rhapsody.
Mama, I killed a man.
man.
Put a gun against his head.
Okay, I think everyone knows that's Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Okay, going back in time a little bit.
Was quizzical, studied metaphysical science in
Oh, Maxwell's Silverhammer.
late night along with the texture.
Who's
Maxwell Edison.
Okay, so well done, Chris. That's Maxwell Silver Hammer by...
oh dear. What were they called? They've just produced a single recently, haven't they?
They have.
Despite the fact that half of them are dead.
The Beatles.
You know, it's the Beatles, wasn't it?
It was the Beatles. Maxwell Silver Hammer. Number 6.
It's too muffled.
Yeah, it's too muffled.
First day I saw her, I knew she was the one.
Anybody got a clue on that one?
It was quite muffled, so
Okay, I think it's because there's lots of background music over the
Mm.
voices, but it was Where the Wild Roses Grow by Kylie Minogue and Nick Cave.
Mm.
And basically he murders her down by the river. The next one.
Roxanne.
I'm going to pause it there because everyone's faces are looking blank.
Yeah.
Anyone recognise the voice?
Can't hear it properly.
Can't
Okay.
hear it properly.
Oh, I don't know how to sort the
It might
sound out.
be an idea, Abby, to put them in a follow-up email with the
I will do.
links, and then get people to give their answers either in the WhatsApp or Facebook.
Okay, I will do the next one though, because the other ones you will know this next one. If I share it, I will share the screen. Is there a way to share without sharing the screen? Just share video? Okay, I'll do this
Share
one.
it. Have you got two screens there, Abs? Because if you put it on the other screen, just share your current window or something.
It's fine. I'll try this one. Again, you should all get this one.
Michael Jackson.
I can hear blop 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 blop.
Sounds like it's underwater, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Definitely
That was
Michael
a great
Jackson.
impression, Kaz. I loved it.
It's quite an advantage that you're in the same room.
I know.
yeah. Mm. What I did for this, for a quiz where I did sounds, was I embedded them into a.
Have you embedded it into a PowerPoint? Is that what you're
I
saying?
embedded it in a PowerPoint, and then you could just play it there and then. Yeah.
Okay, I will do that and I will send it out as part of the thing. But well done for the ones you managed to get. We got through 7 of them, 8 of them quite easily. But did anyone catch that last one? I know
Blop,
you.
blop, 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 blop.
Blah, 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 blah,
Mr.
yeah.
Blobby?
It's weird, although that definitely should be murdered. That one. Okay, I'll put into embed it into a thing, and we'll send it out to you to reply.
That session was called How to Murder a Song.
How to Right, well, I will let you go. I shall ask everyone to come back by 8:15. If you can get back earlier, great. If not, don't worry. But 8:15, and we'll see you on the other side.
Cool, thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, Kaz will join us very, very shortly. We're going to do our obligatory photo of how to kill your family. Oh, you've got a different cover, Jerry.
I know.
It's blue.
It's due to the time zone difference, actually.
Heather had a good idea in the break. She reckons everyone should do a face or something while
Either the face of you being murdered or you murdering someone.
with it. Okay, so I'm just gonna set up ready for. So I'm just waiting for might need to tilt it, Gov, a little bit. Okay, ready? Done. Okay, fabulous. All done. Okay, well, I'm going to hand over to Dennis now, who is going to do his book in the news bit. And let me just bring it up and I will share the screen with you. Make sure everything else is smaller so it's not in the way. Share screen. Here we go.
2024.
Can everybody see that before we start?
Yes, I was on mute. Never mind. 2024. January, what's in the news? Wow. We can turn that down, please. Okay.
I can't hear it.
Okay. Right then. Next slide, please. We're heading across the pond to the United States, and a bookseller is going to give away the books that have been removed from Duval schools. Duval County is in Florida, and this Firestorm Books, based in Asheville, North Carolina, got the books, and they're going to sell them. How they're going to release them is yet to be really sound. But either way, Firestorm says it intends to ship the first round of books in a few weeks, focusing initially on the people in Florida who requested them. Interesting. Apparently, they reckon they're going to spend us out $17,500 on postage alone, and they want to get them back to the children in Florida who are being sadly missed through those. So the storm about books being removed from the shelf continues. So interesting. Next slide, please. Oh, in the UK, Northolt, which is a small suburb in Greater London, has reopened following an outbreak of bed bugs that were discovered in their books. Wow. Apparently the library in Church Road was the latest in needing to shut after the pest control had called out to
Were those banned books too?
No, just banned bugs. Yeah.
Makes me not want to read a book in bed at the moment, but
No,
okay.
yeah, bed bugs have been an issue in the UK for many years, apparently, but regular inspections. I'd never heard of them going into books before and treating them. But next time you pick up a book in that used bookshop, just be careful. So that's a point for lady. She's got a book she's going to share later. Things, but inconvenience. I know there was no doubt ensued in this area of North London. Right, next slide, please. A guy called Tack Lowe has a master plan to market his self-published book that apparently Mike Tyson, the book that would love. And he states, first off, I do write for the love of writing. But apparently there's a concept out there now where people sell first, then write the book. Has anybody heard about that? Answers in the chat if you do. Anyway, so he has some required marketing tools. He uses something called BookBeam to figure out what keywords and niches are best. And he uses them to figure out how to improve titles and subtitles. And he also uses it to figure out what category and subcategory to aim for, things like that. So it's something that Lady and Abby Rose might be able to use in the future when they're doing books. So he develops an author website. Currently he's on something called Be Healed, but others are available, I'm sure. To grab emails, he's adding to Squarespace page where you can add testimonials and other things. But
Yeah, I think it's very similar to when you sort of have things on sort of pre-order. You sell it before it's actually out. So it's very similar in style, but he's just gone one step further. He's selling it before he's written it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got something a review phase, which is pre-launch, and this phase is all about reviews. You can get reviews from advanced reader copies, and he gives a couple of websites, and I'll include all these links on the Facebook page, which I will get on to do this. So, and then you can do the KDP launch and book all the free days you can. So, different way of doing it. Maybe something for the future. Next slide, then. Back over to the America. Plumfield Books pairs books and bottles in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Apparently, the American Booksellers Association, part of USA Today, are introducing bookshops, independent bookstores around the country, and that's with him. What makes your independent bookstore unique? And they're very proud in Plumfield of their Spanish section to help support the Spanish immersion programs in Southwest Michigan. I didn't know there was one, but that's what they do. And of course, they have their book and bottle book club. It's a little bit different to do a book and bottle book club over the internet, but I suppose we could start introducing a bottle one day.
I'm interested in that photo. There's a book there by Taylor Jenkins Reid, who's also the author of our next book.
Oh, very good. So when asked, what's your favourite section in your store? The children's section, they love by far. Kids know exactly where to go. When they're not looking for books or snuggled on the couch, they're colouring bookmarks or playing their dollhouse. So they've got all sorts of things going on in this book shop in Plumfield. And if I find another one that the USA Today do, I'll bring some more next month or months to follow. And according to Vogue, you should be reading 33 books before you're 30. I haven't listed them all, but these are they: Wuthering Heights, House of Mirth, and you can read those for that.
2. I've read 2.
Yeah. So I've read Wuthering Heights and Mrs. Dalloway. That's about it. Oh, Book of Common Prayer. But yeah. Count through those and see how many you've done.
I'm hoping I've read more of the other 33 than just those 2. So
Yeah. I know you're all book lovers. We'll move on to the next slide. If you go to www.bookloversgifts.com, you can buy these book lover tea towels. And this is just a sample. Oscar Wilde or Walt Whitman. They also do stationery, clothing, jewellery, and books.
Did
So
Walt Whitman write Slaughterhouse number 5? I don't know. Jerry, do you know? Nope.
I do not know.
Okay.
But it's interesting that both of these authors are gay.
Okay.
I mean, and Whitman, you look at Whitman and go, what? Gotta be kidding me. Yeah, it's true.
Next slide.
Next slide, please. Yes. We don't have anniversaries or book publishing days. I just thought this week I'm going to go for what's on this year. So I mentioned last month the World Through Literature via Eventbrite. So if you wanted to join that, it starts on the 25th of January. And it's a 6-week course. So what else is coming up? World Book Fair, I mentioned, 7th of March, which is also my birthday. London
What is the
Book Fair.
London Book Fair like?
We've not been. We planned to go in 2020, and then obviously COVID happened, so we didn't get there in the end. Haven't been yet.
So, Jerry, if you're interested, flying over London Book Fair, just let us know.
I would imagine it'd be rather massive.
Yes, as I imagine the Oxford Literary Festival would be. That's on the 16th to the 24th of March. Stratford, again, that may have a little bit of a Shakespeare theme, I suppose, but they'll go from there. But I do know the Hay Festival, which is in the West Country, down near, in a small town in Wales, is a very large festival. They bring together literature and the arts. UK names tend to dominate the event, but global authors are also present. The best thing about this festival is the setting. Hay-on-Wye is a book town filled with antiquarian and second-hand bookstores, little pop-up libraries, and many specialist stores. So that's well worth a visit, apparently. It has been on UK TV just to show what's going on. So that's good. And that is book. What is it called? What's in the news? That's one I have.
Thank you very much. Lots of festivals coming up. I want to go to Hay-on-Wye, so we might have to book that time out, and we'll go and have a visit to Wales and see there. Chris Evans, I don't know whether Jerry's heard of a guy called Chris Evans. He's a radio DJ and TV presenter over here. He was a big advocate of Hay-on-Wye and trying to get people to go. So it's been in our sort of psyche via the radio and things a lot over here. Okay. So welcome back, Sue. We now see you again. Hoping Jerry manages to eat his soon and join us visually. Just going through the quick chat. Kaz, only one. What do you mean by
Only read one of those books.
Oh, okay. Only one of those books. So I'm going to have to look at all 33 and make sure there's more than 2 that I've read.
I win. I've not read any of them.
Okay. Well, like Heather. I'm over 30 now, so it's
You
and
know what
so-
I would think would be interesting to see
Hmm.
is the books like Vogue has that they want you to read, and then go back maybe 5 years or 10 years to see which other books were listed are must reads, because I believe that these must reads have to be influenced by obviously the people that are making the decision and what generation they are, where their interests are, that type of thing. I think it would be vastly different.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah. And Sue, you are going to Hay on Wye in March for a school reunion. The festival is a little bit later in the year, though, isn't it? So yeah, so nice, exciting. Right, well, I'm going to steam right on to a word corner, and as you may again have noticed, we have no David again. He is yet again in play rehearsal, but I'm sure he will mention this again in his thing. So I'm just going to open up his video and then share the screen with you. Can you all see a black square?
Yes.
Fab.
Hello there, hope you're having a good meeting so far. Sorry I can't be with you yet again, but we are rehearsing Mother Goose this evening in the village hall, and tomorrow night I'm rehearsing, no, we're rehearsing Robinson Crusoe tonight, Mother Goose tomorrow. I'm doing 2 pantomimes at the same time. It's very confusing, but hopefully I'll be with you next month. So word corner for today. Let's have a look at what we've got, shall we? Reminder of last time, we talked a little bit about some of the traditions of Christmas, where Christmas cards came from, originally a marketing idea for the post office, who, let's face it, if you're in the UK, have been having a pretty bad press since our last meeting, but they were commercial even right at the start. Anyway, let's move swiftly past the post office. Christmas cards, delivered by postmen originally known as robins because of their bright suits, and that's why we have robins on Christmas cards. Christmas crackers, invented by Tom Smith, as you may recall. And your challenge, well, your challenge was to share a photo of your Christmas tablescape, that word we saw in the Fortnum and Mason description of crackers. And you did. So thank you very much to Chris, and to Bruce, and to Candice, and to Abby, and to Heather, and to Kaz, who all shared photographs of their Christmas or Boxing Day tablescape. Heather with plenty of cheese on Boxing Day, and Kaz Christmas Day and Boxing Day, double bubble, 2 different tablescapes, and from different angles as well. So fantastic, thanks for joining in that one. So this month, what are we going to talk about? Well, it is January, so I thought we'd talk about the origin of some sort of year words. So January, you probably know a lot of these actually. January is named after the Roman god Janus. Janus was a 2-faced Roman god. He faced both ways, and that's why at the end of the year he looks back to the previous year and forward to the new 2024. But he was also the god of beginnings, gates, transitions, time, duality, doorways, frames, passages, and endings. He was obviously a very busy chap. That's perhaps why he's got eyes in the back of his head, as teachers used to say to us. And Janus, the word itself, comes from Yanu, which was a Proto-Italic word for a door. So that idea of being in a door, being able to look both ways, from one room to another room, from one year to another year, that's where we get Janus, and that's where we get January from. So again, you probably know a lot of the other words of the year. So September, October, November, and December, they're just simply the 7th month, 8th month, 9th month, and 10th month of the old Roman calendar. And then July and August were originally Quintilis and Sextilis, the 5th month and the 6th month of the calendar, before they were renamed after those 2 that you see on the screen there on the left. That's Julius Caesar, and July is named after Julius Caesar. And on the right, I'm sure you've guessed by now that that's Augustus Caesar, the Emperor Augustus, and August. The original 6th month was named after Augustus Caesar. Originally, the first month of the Roman year would have been, have you worked that out yet? Was March. The Roman year started in March, and then they added a couple of months on at the start. So January and February were latecomers. That's why September, meaning 7, is actually our 9th month. Other Roman gods who have months named after them or for them, if you're American. So there you are, Jerry. Hi, Jerry. March, named after Mars, the god of war, who was second in the Roman pantheon only to king of the gods. The gods have a king. Anyway, chief god Jupiter. And most of the myths around Mars come from Ares, who was the Greek god of war. A lot of correlation between Greek gods and Roman gods. But March is named after Mars, as May is named after Maya. Maya was the she embodied growth. That's why May is named after Maya, and potentially it's also linked to a word that we would have as major, or bigger than growing. Potentially has the same root for Maya. And then Juno, who was the wife of Jupiter, she was the goddess of marriage and childbirth, and the month of June is named after Juno, which leaves, if you've been counting, a couple of months that aren't accounted for. So the other 2, February and April, not named after numbers, not named after gods or goddesses. February is named after Februa or Febralia, and that was the Roman festival of purification and atonement. At that time of the year, people were getting themselves purified, sorting themselves out, sorting their life out. And then April is just named after, well, what became the Latin Italian word aperire, to open. It could be because flowers, presumably flowers, are opening at this time of year. So that led me to thinking a little bit about a couple of other yeary organised things, and around that sort of time, February into April, somewhere around there, is the first day of spring. The first day of spring is actually not the same all across the Northern Hemisphere. It depends on whether you use the meteorological calendar, or some even work it out by the average temperatures, and then so it's different in lots of different countries and traditions. But the tradition of spring cleaning, having a clear out at that time of year when the weather starts to get warmer, of renewal as things start to open up again, that tradition of clearing out the old is pretty universal around the world. So we call it spring cleaning in this country. Just a couple of other ones I'll highlight for you. Xiaonian, the Little New Year. So this is the Chinese festival, usually on about the 23rd or 24th day of the last lunar month. And they sweep, they clean, they dust, they scrub, get everything looking spick and span, and then decorate the house with paper cuts. Just sort of like you probably did these at school, where you cut shapes out of paper and they end up looking like snowflakes and things like that. So they decorate like that for Xiaonian. And the reason they're doing that is clearing up, making everything look good for the kitchen god, because the kitchen god at this time of year ascends up into the heaven, or wherever the gods in Chinese mythology, should I call it mythology, Chinese religion, live. And the kitchen god makes his report to the Jade Emperor. There's the Jade Emperor there. He is the Jupiter, the Zeus, the head god of the Chinese pantheon. And based on his report, whether the household has been good or the household has been bad during the year, then either the household has good luck, good fortune, or bad fortune for the following year. So it's a pretty important report on your house. Fortunately, apparently the kitchen god is very easily bribed with sweet things. So if you bung him a few sweets or cakes to take up with him, then he tends to say nice things about you. So that's the Xiaonian in China. Kane Tikani is the next one we're going to look at. This is not to be confused with the New Zealand opera singer. That's Kire Te Kanawa. So we're talking about Kane Tikani. And this is the Persian, part of the Persian, sort of in the run-up to the Persian New Year, really. has its roots in Zoroastrianism, and translation would be something along the lines of shaking down the house. Again, it's thoroughly cleaning everything, getting those Persian rugs, washing them, putting them out to dry, cleaning, scrubbing, getting everything looking absolutely fantastic. And then when the actual new year comes around, you have this amazing Haftzin table, which has 7 symbolic elements to bring in the new year. And they include apple, garlic and vinegar, the apple symbolizing beauty, the garlic symbolizing good health, and vinegar symbolizing patience. I didn't know vinegar symbolized patience, but I'm not quite sure why it does. But anyway, that's the Persian New Year, the Persian spring cleaning before Persian New Year celebrations. And then probably the most fun one, and you may even have seen this one before, is Songkran. Songkran. This is the Thai New Year, 13th of April. This is one that's fixed and can be described as dusting and drenching. Again, in the run up to it, they are cleaning, they're tidying, they're sorting everything out. But probably the most fun thing that they're doing is getting wet. So they just douse each other basically with perfumed water. So that can be quite ritualistic. You can see on the right-hand side, you've got the elephant blowing water out of its trunk. Down bottom middle, you've got people throwing buckets of water over themselves, and over on the left-hand side, even more fun, squirting massive water guns at each other. So that is, you get everything wet to get it clean. You're cleaning your Buddha statues at home, and you're throwing out anything that's old. It's considered bad luck in this culture, bad luck to keep old things. So you're getting rid of anything old. So across the world, around that sort of springtime, people are spring cleaning. They're getting rid of the old, bringing in the new, making sure everything looks clean. And then to finish the 4 seasons, again, this is not a musical reference. It's just looking at where we get the names of our 4 seasons from. Just thought that was worth doing. So spring originally in the UK, or in England as it would have been then, spring was Lent. The season would have been called Lent rather than spring. It wasn't until about the 14th century that we started to call it springing time, because the flowers were springing out of the ground. And then over the next couple of 100 years, that was shortened to springtime and then spring. So originally that would have been winter, Lent, summer, rather than winter, spring, summer. Summer itself just comes from an Old English word called stumor, which goes back through all sorts of, you find versions of this in a lot of languages going back. And it seems to have its roots in an old, I can't even remember the language, Sumerian or something, word, which means half year or year. Possibly linked to that phrase of, if you're 25 summers old, that actually, the summer was the whole year. That's how you counted things. Anyway, that's where we get summer from. Autumn. Autumn, again, originally had a different name in England through until about the 16th century. We called it harvest. So it would have been winter, Lent, summer, and harvest would have been the seasons. But it then gradually became autumnus, autumnus from the Latin word meaning passing of the year, or possibly the drying out season. And then on to winter. Winter comes from an old Germanic word, ventrus, or ventrus probably, meaning, I think, probably wet or white, as you would see and associate with winter there. And the word season itself comes from an old French word, saison, which means sowing or planting. So it was the time at which you planted things. You planted different things, presumably at different points in the year. So that was saison, meaning season. So that's a quick flurry through a few words associated with months of the year, times of the year, different things. And your challenge, and as you were so great at taking photographs last time, let's make it a challenge to take a photo, get outside, get a bit of fresh air, and take a photo of what you see around you at this time of year. Maybe a bit of snow next week, I'll read in the news. Maybe one of those lovely dawns or sunsets, depending on what time you're out. But why not share a photograph of this time of year while you're out and about? Anyway, that is Word Corner for January 2024. And I will see you in person at the Book Academy next month, February 2024. Enjoy the rest of your meeting, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
As always, lots to talk about and think about in there. I was wondering how much has gone on through the chat, because I couldn't do anything on my screen just in case it kind of interrupted David there, but there's lots going on there. I think he's right. We were all pretty good at taking photos, so I'm looking forward to seeing people's wintry photos. He did omit to mention the word fall though as autumn. As Jerry, you probably don't call it autumn over there, you call it fall. And
Well, we use both words actually. But
okay,
where are we supposed to post the pictures, by the way?
on WhatsApp or Facebook or anywhere that there's a Book Academy presence. You've got the WhatsApp group, haven't you?
I don't know. I'll have to look.
I'm sure you have, because I know I added you. But anyway, but have a look through it. And there's a beautiful tablescapes of all our tables at Christmas time that we posted on there. But if not, I'll double check and I'll re-add you if you've managed to delete yourself off from it.
All right.
Heather, drinking vinegar does indeed require patience. Yeah, unless you're me, I really enjoy it. I have chips with my vinegar, so.
Also, that the real reason is because to make vinegar, they used to leave the wine. Yeah.
Ah, that would make sense. Having patience to leave the wine and not drink it.
Yes.
Fab. Okay, and I can see there's lots of 10 worst fonts you could use. Comic Sans, yes, agree with that. Papyrus, yes, agree with that. Curls, yeah. Most of those I would agree with. Kaz, typefaces as per designer, it has a lot of things, but Comic Sans, no. I disagree with that one. I don't like it. As a teacher, we were meant to use it in lots of things, but I never liked it. So.
I have to say, just as a complete nerd, everyone always says it wrong. They're not fonts at all. They're actually typefaces, and fonts refers to the weight and size of the type. So it's not fonts at all.
Typefaces.
Even Apple calls it font book, the typeface program thing. So it's commonly now fonts, isn't it? But that's incorrect.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go into members news before we go to Word Corner. And we had a little bit of discussion about your Secret Santa books, but if people want to talk about those, they can as well here. But did anyone get any other books as well for Christmas? Mum's waving. We've seen your Inspiralized one, so you're on mute. We never get to say that.
Yeah, I got 3 or 4 books, a couple of books I'd asked for. One's right behind you, Abby, if you can find it. The word book. It's horizontal at the top, I think. I got another version of the Bible, but in this version, it's got passages from C.S. Lewis, or his take on the passages in the Bible, which is really, really cool. And a book about London, streets of London, and history of different parts of London. So yeah, I was thrilled. And this book, I don't know if anyone's come across it, it's called The Lost Words. And like many choices for books, the illustrations, if you can open some of it, Abby Rose, please, are absolutely gorgeous. They remind me of your work, Kaz. But yeah, beautifully illustrated and a huge book. And we saw it when we went to Hatchard's, but because it was such a weighty book, I wasn't going to carry it around London. So I saw it in Hatchard's and bought it on Amazon. Sorry, Sue.
It's actually one that I see in schools quite a lot. A lot of schools were gifted this book at one point. But while we were at Hatchard's, I did buy its little sister called The Lost Spells, and it's poems about like animals and things you sort of see at night time. So foxes and badgers and lots of lovely beautiful illustrations. Like, oh, it's gorgeous. And I got given a Lost Spells game to go with it as well for Christmas. That was lovely.
And when we played it for the first time, I won. Just as little aside.
I nearly didn't mention it because of that. So
get some books.
I had this one,
Ooh.
Whip and Teas and Brews.
Okay.
You'd have to go scouring in a lot of hedgerows to find some of these ingredients, but it was interesting. We had a bit of a laugh as we were looking at some of them to see the effects that they might have on you. I think it's designed for people that have got a bit more time to go scavenging and brewing. It's not nearly as quick as putting your Tetley tea in or something. But my other present was How to Kill Your Family. So that was the sum total of my Christmas books.
Chris, Jerry, Heather, any books for you?
I gave Christmas books, and my grandchildren both gave me a list before Christmas. So they got about 7 or 8 each. And my grandson read 3 of them before Boxing Day.
Wow. Good.
I did, but it was by a controversial author, so I wasn't going to say.
We like controversial authors.
J.K. Rowling. It was the little children's book. I can't think what it's called now, but it's got all the little children's stories in it. So, but I have quite a few trans friends, and she's really not flavour of the month with them at all. So I kind of like, I'm glad I got it, and it's quite a cool thing to have, but I'm going to hide it.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows that I've got it. Bad. Anyway.
Yeah, I bought books for my niece and nephew. I bought my niece this one, Super Infinite. It's Catherine Rundle's biography of John Donne, and I also got the same Catherine Rundle, Impossible Animals, which is very big in Waterstones at the moment. And then I thought, so I got an author who's written an adult's book and a children's book. Can I do the same for my nephew? And I came up with Simon Armitage. This was the adult book, Walking Home, which is walking the Pennine Way backwards. He was actually walking forwards, but he did it from the north to the south. He has to do it from the south to the north, but his home's at the bottom end of it, so that makes sense. And I also got Hansel and Gretel. He's written a version of Hansel and Gretel, and there's an artist who's done the illustrations. Although it says it's Hansel and Gretel for adults, so maybe that one didn't work quite so well.
I got one book. It's a children's book based on the song "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas," because I sang that quite a lot over the Christmas period at open mic nights and things. So I got the picture book to go with it, which is now in my Christmas collection as well. So, and obviously my Advent book that I shared, the recipe book that I shared with you at the last Book Academy. So lots of lovely books to read. So. Right, I'm going to steam on to Word of the Month, back to David. So let me open this and I shall share the screen once again. Share screen. Okay, I think it's sharing.
Hello there, back again for Word of the Month for January. Let's have a quick look at what the word of the month for December was. Do you remember that? It was abecedarian. Abecedarian. From the Latin abecedarius, meaning alphabetical. Originally meant somebody learning the basics, but then became an alphabetical acrostic or poem. So we looked at a couple of examples, one from Brian Bilston, this one about Christmas, starting with the letters of Christmas, and your challenge was to write an acrostic or Abecedarian poem. Now, I've had a check on Facebook and on the WhatsApp group, and nobody got round to that. So maybe there was a bit too much, well, either too much festivity or too much of this month's word of the month. So, word of the month for January. Well, I don't know about you, but I've been feeling a bit tired this month. There was a day, if I have to get up, I'll set an alarm clock. If not, I'll normally wake up sort of about sometime between 6:15 and 7 o'clock. And there was a day last week where I didn't set my alarm clock and I didn't wake up till 8:25, which is virtually unheard of for me. But I've been feeling more than usually tired, and I think I've spoken to a couple of other people who've overslept as well. So, are you feeling sleepy like the lady and the dog in that photograph? And if you are, maybe what you've done is you've had a bit of a herkle-durkle. That's the word of the month of January. Herkle-durkle, or to pronounce it properly, herkle-durkle, because it's an old Scottish word meaning a lie-in, basically. Identified in John Jameson's etymological dictionary of the Scottish language about 200 years ago, and he defined it as to lie in bed or to lounge after it is time to get up or go to work. Probable etymology of that from herkle, old Scottish word meaning draw your limbs closely together, particularly in a crouched position, and dur, an old Germanic word for the hold of a ship, that idea that you're hunkered down with something covering you up. So herkle-durkle, a bit of a herkle-durkle is having a lie-in. Have you done that? Have you done that since Christmas? Are you feeling like a herkle-durkle? Should you even herkle-durkle? Well, I did come across an article which asked that important question: how important is it to herkle-durkle regularly? Are you a regular herkle-durkler? Herkle-durkler. Well, there we go. And the answer basically is yes. And it even recommends in that article herkle-durkling with a book. So there you go. You have permission to herkle-durkle. In fact, you have the easiest Book Academy challenge ever this month. Treat yourself to a herkle-durkle before the next time we meet. And hopefully I'll be there in person, and the first performances of Panto will be out of the way. And I'll be on a bit of a break and ready to actually be live with you. Well, I hope you had a good meeting. Hope you get a chance to herkle-durkle very soon. And I will see you in about 4 weeks' time. Bye.
I like that challenge. I want to herkle-durkle. Absolutely. Does anyone manage to herkle-durkle over Christmas?
Most days.
I did.
Not with a
More
book.
and more.
Not with the book. Can you herkle-durkle before you go to sleep, or is it only after you wake up?
Well, it's when you're supposed to be up and about, isn't it? So I guess it's the lie-in.
I guess you could always go back to bed at lunchtime and have a herkle-durkle.
We call it
Well,
hobbit.
some people have duvet days, don't they? So they don't get up at all.
Yeah, totally.
We call it hobbit sleep or second sleep.
Second sleep. Yep, like that one. Okay, right. So next month we are meeting on the 8th of February. It's quite an early one, but it is actually the second Thursday of the month. And we are going to be looking at Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I can never get her name right. I always have to look at it. So Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm just finding a quick image of it. It is a film or TV series, a Netflix TV series as well. If you wanted to have a watch of that at the same time. So Daisy Jones and the Six, and obviously in books in the news, I saw another one by the same author in there, but she's quite prolific, I think, at the moment in her writing. So there we go, Daisy Jones and the Six. It's been chosen because of the style of writing. Is a very different style of writing. It took me a little while to get into it, but I'm actually looking forward to rereading it again with a different viewpoint as well. And then looking on to March, just to give you a little bit of prior warning, again mentioned in Books and News, March the 7th is World Book Day, and over in this country particularly, Jerry, we do focus a lot more on children's books on World Book Day rather than just for adults, but it encompasses all. So we thought we would look into a children's author, and I'm going to hand over to Lady here.
Well, I don't know if it is just children's, but it's Rudyard Kipling. So March's book's going to be anything by Rudyard Kipling, whether that's Mowgli or whether it is the Just So stories or any other that you may have or may look at. I'm a bit worried about opening this book now because I got it in a secondhand bookshop and I'm thinking, how do you know whether there's bed bugs in it or not? And the inscription, it was a gift to somebody, grandparents, I think, in 1955. But not only what really attracted me to it was because it was my first visit to a secondhand bookshop since the stroke. So it was the first time I actually was thinking I could buy a book. And I saw this, and the illustrations in it are just absolutely incredible. Lots and lots of really good black and white pen and ink illustrations, and I could just sit and look at the pictures really, because they are just so absolutely incredible. So we thought we would use this as the book of the month, anything by Rudyard Kipling. And I'm going to actually have a go at reading all the Mowgli stories and seeing what else will be there apart from what Disney pulled out. So there he is with his wolf pack. And I'm looking forward to that after we've read about Stevie Nicks, of course. You good?
Just in case you weren't sure, the Stevie Nicks references, Daisy Jones and the Six is loosely based on Fleetwood Mac and their story. So, okay, so anyone want to add anything, share anything?
I'm just thinking that some of the Rudyard Kipling books might not be PC these days. So if you want them pulled off your shelf and sold later, then dig in.
Well, Candice has got some news. Are you still there?
Candice,
Oh, I got.
Your fantastic news of this month about your degree.
Oh, yeah, I passed my dissertation. So yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Just
Well
waiting.
done.
Had the internal moderation. So I got if it continues where it is, I'll have a distinction in overall. So yes.
And the
Very well
subject
done.
was
Person sent for what, my dissertation or for the whole thing?
the whole thing.
Person-centered health and social care.
Well done.
What was your dissertation? Go on.
It was about patient engagement within an influencing satisfaction levels within a urgent care centre.
Sounds fantastic. You could easily do a PhD in allied health at Worcester with us then.
Not editing.
You loved it.
I did a lot of editing, didn't I? And proofreading more than editing, but proofreading. So yeah, it's very. I did find it very interesting. So found out a bit more what you do. Which is good.
Sounds
Let me know
impossible.
what I do sometimes because I have no idea. At the moment, all it feels like is rotors. Yay.
Right,
Right.
so it's interesting books ahead of us, I think.
Absolutely. If you do have any suggestions, do like what Chris did and message me your suggestion. He's sent me an idea over, which we're looking at, and we'll put it in our suggestion jar, and hopefully we'll have some different books coming out and being part of it. So it can be new books, old books, ones that you have read like every year since the year dot, or something you've just found or been recommended to you. And as always, if you know someone who loves books and thinks they would enjoy coming along as to be part of the Academy, please invite them along. and grow with the family. And I'll see you on the 8th of February.
Brilliant. Thank you, Abby, for all your work today. Thanks, Dennis, for your contribution, and David, of course. And see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye all. Thanks for the interesting bits on the book. I enjoyed the conversation today.
And we've already had some pictures put up on the WhatsApp. And
Yeah.
Kat, Sue, brilliant.
And look now.
Okay.